a dude in a business plan is as early as we'll go. So I mean, it's early stage. With a dog. Dog's cool. Although we did that once and the dog pooped in my office and that was bad. Don't let the dog. Just a little bit of advice out there. Really bad.
Jason, is that when you'll look at a company or when you'll actually consider investing in a company?
Both.
For us, the answer has something to do with the industry, right? I mean, obviously, when we invested, say, in Left Hand, it was long before product shipment, right? It was a company doing hardware. Very difficult for a hardware company to bootstrap itself all the way up to customer shipments. It may be slightly different for certain kinds of software, right? There are ways that companies can bootstrap more by getting customers to pay for things, et cetera. So it's not a blanket answer. We have done things that are pre-revenue. I personally probably would not do a dude in a business plan because that dude has not attracted anybody else to himself yet. And to me, one of the measures of an entrepreneur, I talk about how entrepreneurs are sticky. And that means people, they create a vision of the future that people want to be involved in. People will stick to them. And if they haven't created anything that's stuck to them, if it's just the dude and the dog doesn't count, that's probably not that's probably not far enough along for me. I want to see somebody that has created something that other people get excited about. But we've done pre-revenue, we've done only services revenue, we've done all the way to product revenue. So it's again one of these cases where it's not just a real simple answer. It's a function of the industry. And obviously, people that do biotech, they're so far from revenue. So it really is a function of what you're doing and what it takes. And, I think it really, for most VCs, well, for me, when I talk to entrepreneurs and they're worried about valuation, et cetera, VCs, we're not the risk takers. You guys are the risk takers. We're the risk managers. That's what it comes down to. So there's a number of risk vectors, right? We look at execution risk, we look at technology risk, we look at market risk. There's all these financing risk. I mean, if you're putting an infrastructure play and you're going to need several $100 million, the more risk vectors you take out, right, the less risky it is for us and the higher the valuation is going to be. So when somebody asked earlier, what if I bring a management team together that's already, done stuff? Yahoo, you've taken out a risk factor, and so therefore the valuation gets higher. So the question isn't, what stage will we do? It's how risky is it? How many risk factors are taken out? And if you've taken out enough risk factors, sometimes that's pre-revenue.
And let me add, the dude in the business plan is not a dude off the street. It's either got to be somebody we know or somebody that, we know of that we know. I mean, it's got to be 1 or 2 degrees separated at best.
We're sort of the same ilk as Jason's group is. We'll do that very early guy in a PowerPoint kind of opportunity, or gal, person in a PowerPoint. The way we get away with that is what we're trying to invest there is not our dollars, but our time. And I think we've got more people per dollar of capital managed than any venture capital firm in the country. And we'll actually put our effort and resources into trying to build that company from that early stage. It's hard work, and that's why we're comfortable, though, not having, a team that exists day one. We're comfortable doing that with just a guy and helping him, or gal, and helping him build that team.
We've had a lot of guys or gals with business plans come in just because of our positioning, being so early stage. And we find that we would love for them to go out and raise a little angel money first, get their product up and running. I don't think we've invested in anything that's maybe even been through beta yet. So we're still doing very early. But we do want to see some proof of concept or some proof of technology or some proof of to Catherine's point, that they're putting together a team and they're making progress along. But then we do come in, I think I would still classify it as very early, a lot of times pre-beta, and like Derek said, really throw our resources, our talent against helping the companies solidify and get their products completed and get into beta.
Yeah, I was actually just going through the my portfolio as we were talking, and on life sciences, they're all pre-revenue pre-product. So that's on IT. They're roughly half pre-revenue and half like some revenue, like maybe $100,000 quarter. Just a few customers that have bought. And by the way, people beta testing your product that haven't paid you are not customers. So don't tell me they are. They're prospects. They might become customers, and that would be great. But people come on. We've got 20 customers. How much revenue do you have? Well, we don't have any. So that's a little pet peeve of mine. But yeah, so define that. It's really, the early stage is tough. I actually might push back a little bit. There's a lot of venture firms that were early stage firms for 10 years, 15 years that are now only late stage firms, and that's how they build themselves. So there's actually a lot of people that have lately left early stage. So it's like Web 2.0. What does early stage mean? I guess it's like company by company, right?
People always, you always hear it's got to be introduced. And part of it, for me, isn't that VCs are lazy and therefore we're not going to look through the other things, but it's also, it's a statement about the entrepreneur. If an entrepreneur cannot figure out, right, again, this stickiness, if they can't figure out how to use the network, how to find somebody, how to get that to be an introduction, how are they going to get customers? How are they going to attract employees? So it's not just that we're lazy. It's that it is a statement. And again, it's about risk factors. Okay, so if it comes introduced, that's a lower risk factor for me. And we do get inundated. And so it's a statement about an entrepreneur. If you can't figure out how to get somebody that we know to introduce it to us, you're going to have a hard time doing all the other things that it takes to build a company. So it's not just a cop-out. It actually makes sense.
One other thing. And by the way, it's a hell of a lot easier to meet us in Boulder than it is us in the Silicon Valley. All right? For one, you're all here. Come up and say hi. Two, I mean, there's things, we've started, the Boulder branch of the Open Coffee Club, which a lot of people showed up. It's every Tuesday at 8 it's boulderopencoffeeclub.com. And the whole idea is that anybody in this room who wants to come can just hang out and get to know each other. So even if you don't know somebody who knows one of us, come get to know us, have a cup of coffee, chill out, David Cohen's running Techstars. I mean, there's all these different networks here that just don't exist in the Silicon Valley because there's so much noise to actual real meat ratio that these organizations don't survive in the Bay Area. So you're very lucky to be in Boulder, that the community is small enough that you should be able to meet us, and I think that's my